Hello everyone and welcome to Holistic Healing with Deepshikha. Every day our minds are flooded with constant stream of thoughts ranging from mundane daily tasks to deeper contemplations about life and the world around us. According to research, the average person has approximately 60,000 thoughts per day. That is approximately 45 thoughts per minute. Now to think of it. An organ that is already working so much is, I think, already overworked. I mean, that is a lot of work for something that on an average weighs around 1.4 kgs and is approximately 85% just plain water. So, do you see what I'm talking about? And then we go on to judge it, saying it's overthinking and getting affected negatively and etc. 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 I mean, if I was something that weighed only 1.4 kgs and consisted mainly of water, but still had so many responsibilities, I think I would definitely be overworked and ready to box anyone and everyone's nose in. To top it, if someone tried to tell me to be positive, that would probably have made up for a very good dramatic story. But when we talk about the human brain, it is not like me. It is very obedient. It listens to us, and if trained well consistently, also starts to behave how we would want it to be behaving. I think the only fault it has is that all it knows is how to send thoughts. And because it is so obedient, it gives us one kind of thoughts. That's the only drawback it has. And maybe that is why it is also so trainable. But yet, unfortunately, training our brain is one of the most difficult things to do. It is somehow easier to think negative thoughts rather than the positive ones. And if you ask me, I don't blame it. There is a quote that I have been seeing quite frequently these days that says, "You spend most of your life inside your head. Make sure it is a nice place to be." And there is so much truth in this simple sentence, if we only stop to understand it. In today's episode, I am going to talk about our thoughts and what we all call overthinking. Though most of what I am going to speak about is from my own experiences and how I see this topic of overthinking. I will try and not talk about from the scientific logical aspect of this, because today it is a topic that everyone is talking about and there is already a lot of information available easily on this topic. We never use the term over something for any of our other organs. We never say that the heart is over pumping, or the lungs are over breathing, or that our legs are over walking. We are simply very understanding and accepting towards all of them. And we accommodate their behavior by probably saying that our body needs more of that specific function at that point of time. But somehow, we don't see the brain as that. We don't see that it is probably a situation that our brain is trying to make sense of, or that it is probably just trying to survive a situation or trauma. Let us go back to the quote that I talked about some minutes back. Now, have you ever walked in a garden or maybe with plants, even if it was just one small plant? Try to recall the effort it took to take care of that one plant, for it to grow, and the time each new leaf took to sprout and then grow. Similarly, if what we want is our brain to give us positive thoughts, it needs equal amount of patience and effort. As you listen to this episode, think about it and be truthful. How much time on an average do you spend to make sure that your mind stays healthy and your thought pattern remains positive? I will speak for myself. Before I started on this journey, I used to spend 0 minutes doing it. I mean, there was so much to do. I had so many crime documentaries to watch. During the day, there were events and people to be discussed. I also had to spend time listening to music with lyrics that spoke of maybe heartbreak and doom and so on and so forth. Whatever little time was left was spent on social media, scrolling and looking at the perfect lives that everyone on social media seems to have these days. And then to realize that there wasn't enough time left even for a 5-hour sleep, only to wake up to push my body to go running and exercise while keeping it on unhealthy food because unhealthy is so much more interesting to eat. At the same time, refusing to face my emotions and simply pushing them all deep down. Now, after you've heard the above description, and even if I was not doing all these things that I am doing today, tell me, is there any possibility for my mind to feel positive and happy? But I was always blaming it for overthinking and being unhappy and irritated, totally ignoring the hostile environment I had put it in. I mean, it was only trying to survive the environment that it was in the only manner it knew how. Today, when I look back, and if my brain had been a person, I wouldn't even know how to ever make up for the way I treated it for all those years. But what I have come to realize is that it is the friendliest body part that we have. Everything else in our body has some very strict do's and don'ts. They come with their list of if you do this, that will happen. If you don't do that, this will happen. While the brain is like a happy puppy. You can't get 8 hours of sleep? That's okay. I will work with 6 hours. You can't spend time reading and educating me? That's okay. I will make do with what you have provided me already. You need something? Just don't worry. Let me just run and retrieve the memory for you. And yet, we often blame it when things go wrong. Statements like "Mera dimag hi kharab hai" or "I'm losing my mind" are so common. I mean, it's your heart that got involved, and then you eventually had a breakup, while the whole time your brain was warning you. But still, it is always the brain's fault and never the heart's. Why have I gone to such an extent to talk about this topic? That is because another thing I have come to realize is that we need to be patient with our brain, like we would be with a child, and slowly every day remind it of the happy thoughts. Keep repeating the positive affirmations and continue to bring it back to the present. Also, because we are so judgmental towards ourselves, always impatient that things should simply fall back into place without doing anything. I have done this, and I often hear people say the same things, and hence this monologue on why it is not overthinking but the only thing that the brain knows it is supposed to be doing. How can we control our pattern of thoughts? Well, I will now share what worked for me, though please know that it is work in progress. There are good and bad days, but yes, the things that I'm going to talk about are some things that have helped me. The first in the list is being patient with myself. And I have already covered the reasons as to why it is so important. Second is meditation. How meditation has helped is that it has brought an awareness in regards to what my state of mind is on that particular day. On days it's a chaos in there, I simply sit still for that duration. Other days, when there are too many thoughts, I sit and observe in which direction are the thoughts running off to. And then there are days when I experience a calmness and peace that just makes it all worth it. Third is living in awareness. Usually what happens is that the thoughts are produced by the brain at a subconscious level, and we are not even aware about the direction in which they are going. But if you are conscious about your thoughts, what happens is that whenever the thoughts take a negative turn, you are aware enough to stop them. There is a quote that I had read somewhere which said, "For every negative thought, think 2 positive ones." The last one on this list is self-acceptance and compassion, along with setting boundaries. Instead of berating ourselves for our tendency to overthink, we should acknowledge it with kindness and understanding. By cultivating a sense of self-compassion, we create a safe space for ourselves to explore our thoughts and emotions without judgment. Setting boundaries and creating structure in our lives helps us to manage our overthinking tendencies. This can be done by maybe setting aside specific time for reflection and problem solving, rather than allowing our thoughts to consume us at all hours of the day. It may also involve learning to say no to commitments and obligations that overwhelm us, allowing us to focus on what truly matters to us. Remember, your brain is like a muscle that needs to be trained over a period of time, and managing your thinking is a lifelong practice. And with this, we come to the end of this episode. If you like this episode, please do share it with your loved ones. Thank you for listening.